Well,
Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
we made it through another year of podcasting.
Wow. It makes no sense to me. It's
Yes.
too quick.
And this will be our second January New Year's resolution, but this time we're adding to our New Year's resolution and we're going to talk about public domain.
Yes.
We're going to get all the new public domain for 2025. As well, that's the year and find things that are open and available for you to kind of create a new story from something that was originally there.
Yeah, and as we go through this, you may want to hop on this because I have a funny feeling since, like you had mentioned, well, you will mention in a little bit, it's in your notes, how the 20s are opening up. So, music, film, books. I know everybody who is and is not an author is trying to make a quick buck. They're going to jump on this. Not even rewriting the story, but
reimagining it.
Just putting it, not even reimagining, just putting it out as is. Daniel Middleton from Scribe Freelance, we discussed this, but I was so busy with teaching everything. Back in like 2009 or 10, he did that with public domain, and he made a lot of money. He wasn't anything. He got the wording. He kind of changed the layout, put a new cover on it, stuck it out there. So I can't remember any of the books he's done, but, at that time, whatever was in the, early 1900s.
You say early 1900s?
Yes.
You're talking about the ones he used.
Yeah, he didn't publish it in the early 1900s.
Like, wait, what? How, is he a vampire?
He is, I was going to say, he is a vampire, but we're not supposed to say that.
That's funny.
No, but the ones he did, and he did, I don't know if he's still doing it, because he does that artwork, but it was good for a while. But I know people are going to do the same thing now.
Yeah, but I feel like that's the easy way out, to be honest, to just recover it.
It is the easy way, but everyone's, let's look at the world we live in. That's everyone thinking, ooh, public domain, I can publish that. And you'll see Pride and Prejudice or whatever. I'm sure that was already released, but something from the 20s, an old movie, like just cleaned up and colored or something, and bam, somebody's putting it out and selling it, or a book. And then you're like, there's 500 copies, different versions of this book, which is the same book in Kindle, and it'll become oversaturated. So if you're going to do this, before we hop into these notes, just plant this creative seed, like she just said. Think outside the box. Here's your chance to grab something and reimagine it. So
yeah, and I feel like yes, and I feel like it's something that people don't realize. When you take something from the early 90s and you reimagine it, it's kind of like you're reinventing culture in a sense. You're bringing that 1920 culture, but you're putting it in modern times so you can do some shifting. So it's kind of a new way to animate something that was old. You're taking vintage and making it more trendy again.
Yeah, this isn't really like that. Well, I guess it kind of is, but like Romeo and Juliet, when Claire Danes and What Is Wrong with My Brain? His name is not Eshu, but bless you. The Titanic kid.
You Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio. When they did that movie, and it was like in modern times. All right. So,
Titanic? Oh, you're talking about Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah. I was like, Titanic was not in modern times. All right, back to the subject at hand, public domain. So first off, for those who didn't listen to the episode before, this gives you kind of like a free access. Once these are in public domain, you have free access and you are not restricted by copyright anymore. This means you can like have a classic novel read in something like a movie. You can use these classic novels. It encourages creativity. Looking here, some of the things I wrote down. Put some points. Points and points. All these long pauses, it will come out.
I like them. I can see you moving around in the notes. Okay,
yeah.
I'll take it. If you're a student or a teacher, Karisa.
Oh yeah, public domain.
You're a student or a teacher, but
yeah, public
I love it.
What am I saying? Domain materials. Oh my gosh. Public domain.
PDM.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Can be used
freely in classrooms.
Yes. Well, that's what I was trying to say. You can use these freely in classrooms, not that they, care. It opens this as a different resource of perspective, I feel like, for students. It also allows these voices, ideas, like I'd mentioned, to be shared and add new perspectives. Heck, my talk to text just clicked on, so I'm adding to the notes as I'm talking.
I've seen it move, but it's like, okay, she's thinking on the fly.
Yes, like you said, it inspires kind of like that entrepreneur side of it, where people can take this and find a way to make some money off of the dead.
And it could lead
Using
to new jobs and innovation, especially if you're not, and no disrespect to anyone who's, takes a book and just regurgitates it with a new cover and a new layout. That is one way.
well,
But
something and
think outside the box again. Go ahead.
yes. No. I wasn't trying to interrupt. You were right on point. But something I was thinking about that I put in the notes was, that the legality is, you're just pretty straightforward to an extent. You have to make sure you are only using the public domain version. Remember, we talked about this when it comes to which, especially when you get into Mickey Mouse and different things like that, you have to be very careful with which versions you're using. Make sure you're only using the version that's in public domain and not a reanimated version already. Because I did list some of these that have had movies and adaptations made. You can't take that version and reanimate it. You have to only reanimate the one version.
From those years. And that's been done, like even with the Mickey Mouse cartoons, because the earlier you pointed out.
I think Mickey Mouse's first line that he spoke is in public domain this year.
Okay. Yeah, but that can open up if you're not careful and you start just grabbing whatever, you could end up in serious legal trouble. So you have to pay attention.
You don't want to fight with Disney, that's for sure.
Nope.
All right. So public domain works, they serve as a source of inspiration for generations to keep these legacies alive, essentially. These and sometimes I feel like you may not want to use the whole thing, but there may be a part of that story that was very unique, and it may fit into something you already have. You almost can combine something you already have and mix those and mash those together.
Yeah, but I love the point that you said it keeps legacies alive, because this is a public domain, but I forget who I was working with, and I would like Steve Perry from Journey. Who? Or Prince? Huh? I said, do you know the song Don't Stop Believing? Oh, yeah. Do you know the song Purple Rain? Oh, yeah. But they had no idea who those artists were. So, there may be these amazing books that we've forgotten, we don't read in school anymore, and all of a sudden there's a resurgence of loving that author or that movie or that music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So January 1st is typically public domain day, and that is the day that all these things get released, which is today. And with that said, I have a link in our show notes that takes you to Duke University, and they have a huge database that you can kind of get into the information, legality part of it, the different versions of characters that are coming into public domain, and that's the thing with characters that they've created. You can take the ones that are in public domain right now, and you could reanimate them and make shirts. You could do all kinds of cool stuff with these things. But a lot of things that are coming into public domain are on their website and list, so I have that linked in the show notes below. But let's get into some of the literary highlights that are now coming available in 2025. Notable works will include William Faulkner, which Faulkner was a huge literary person, per se. We should probably cover him in Echoes of Authors Past, because I feel like this one would be a really good one. The Sound and the Fury, which this one has been adapted to film. Yes, it has been adapted into film several times, including one in 1959 and one in 2014, darling.
Well, this is a perfect example because when a movie comes out, they're doing adaptation. So if you would download the public domain work, and then I'm going to rewrite this, but I'm going to add, they didn't have this in the book, and that was so awesome in the 2014 film, and you put it in there, you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah,
you cannot do that. You have to stay on point. Or you can add from your own imagination. Mm-hmm. But if you're going to do that, I feel like everyone could pick up on an idea. So if you decide to do that, say with this book, The Sound and Fury, I would definitely go watch any adaptions. Mm-hmm. It's just to make sure, if you come up with a new idea to add to that book, just to make sure there isn't a similar scene that you've added into the old work, because we don't want to walk that path.
I highly suggest and agree with that. Ernest Hemingway, A Farewell to Arms. This one also made films in 1932 and 1957.
Yep, Virginia Woolf, A Room. I can't even read. Let me put on my logo. I got these glasses for our we do our New Year's resolutions earlier because I need to quit thinking outside here. I need to focus in.
Own.
Just got these. A room of one's own. So
as of 2023. Now I don't know if there's anything in the works, but as of 2023, all the ones that are here as of 2023 have not been adapted to film, the ones that I don't put anything next to it. But if there's something in the works currently that I don't know about, they're not listed.
I kind of feel like there is with film and with I feel like people. This is a very important year for this. I mean, now we're in the 20, and so they're looking ahead of time. So I bet you anything they've been looking and waiting and plotting and scripting this out.
Yeah. Oh yeah, guaranteed. So this next one there's 2 that are coming in by this author, Dashiell Hammett, the Red Harvest, and the Maltese Falcon, which we've heard of. It was serialized in the Black Mask. Yeah.
What, there was a movie or a serial TV show back in the 70s, I believe.
Yeah, was it like a Black Mask or something?
Well, that was in the magazine, Black Mask.
Okay, yeah, the magazine.
But I remember watching a film or a TV show, The Maltese Falcon. Yeah,
that one was 1941. That was when the Maltese Falcon was adapted to film, which was adapted to film multiple times, but you're probably thinking about the one from 1941.
Yeah, no, it was an old film for sure.
Yeah. So the novel Red Harvest, which was the first one I mentioned, was also inspired by numerous films. Notably influenced film was this Yojimbo.
I believe it'd be Yojimbo. I may be wrong. It may be Yo Jimbo.
Gosh.
Who knows?
Yojimbo in 1961, but the American remake was A Fistful of Dollars, which was 1964.
Yep.
Yeah.
I shook my head like I was alive back then watching it, but no, I watched it years later.
John Steinbeck. Why do I feel like John Steinbeck? Isn't there John Steinbeck that's like modern times alive? Isn't there a Steinbeck alive that's like modern times?
I'm sure there's a John Steinbeck somewhere out there.
Maybe. But this was Cup of Gold was his first novel. Again, as to date, he's not got any films available for this or any adaptations to his novel. Richard Hughes, A High Wind in Jamaica. This was adapted to a film in 1965.
I'm kind of hoping as you're reading this list that it's inspiring somebody's like, you know what? I saw that movie or read that book. I'm going to reimagine it.
Yeah, make a movie.
Yeah.
All right.
So Oliver Lafarge, is that right? Laughing Boy.
You're asking the wrong person if pronunciation is correct.
Oh, come on, girl.
Either one of us.
So he wrote Laughing Boy, a Navajo love story.
Yeah, no film for this one. Well, this would probably be a pretty good one that people should think about putting out there. I mean, this seems like right on trend with everything currently.
I think I'm just going to start mispronouncing words anyway, on purpose. All right.
Patrick Hamilton wrote...
Hamilton.
Stop it. Hamilton.
So he wrote...
I mean, imagine if we actually pronunciated the sign.
Do we add that one? Is that what I did last week? Pronounced. I can't remember now.
No. But imagine if we actually pronounced all of the things in the word sometimes. Like when there's like silent K's and silent P's.
Yeah. Don't tempt me. That'll be my New Year's resolution.
Herbs should be herbs and hours should be hour.
How many hours do we have?
Doing this for hours, darling. Well, this is too long. Yes. Yeah.
So you got here that he adapted Rope into a famous film by Alfred Hitchcock in 1948.
Yes, he didn't do it, but Alfred Hitchcock did it.
Okay.
Because I'm pretty sure, I
don't remember that.
This was an Alfred Hitchcock 1948 adaptation, Rope. Yeah, I don't know. I only know a few Alfred Hitchcock movies.
Yeah, but I used to watch a lot as a kid, but I can't remember any. I do remember this next author in this book, because I'm pretty sure I might have read this.
Marina, huh? This one, All Quiet on the Western Front?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Arthur Weasley Wen, the first English translation of... This is the English translation of All Quiet on the Western Front. And I looked this up. This one is about a young man who joins the German soldiers in World War I. And he's... Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is... I might have watched this one. I watched too much Netflix, but this sounds familiar.
Yeah, this is a war novel, and it was adapted for film in 1930, 1979, but then it's streaming on. There's an adaptation that is Oscar winning on Netflix. Interesting. I should watch that. Well, I don't know. I'm gonna lie because I'm not gonna. I'm not much into more films.
I'm not either. It's just here and there.
Yeah, it's just not my thing. Like, although I did just go watch Fly Me to the Moon on Apple TV.
Cool.
That's the one with the conspiracy of the moon landing.
No, I have to watch that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should have a few free months of Apple TV on your new iPad.
Yeah, I just never tapped into it.
You should watch that one. It's pretty good.
Hold on, I want to pronounce Agatha Christie. It's Agatha Christie. All right.
Stop it. You do that one.
Seven Dials Mystery.
Come for us right now. We
I don't remember this one, though.
Seven Dials Mystery? Yeah, this was a film in 81.
Yeah, I don't remember that. I remember a lot of Agatha Christie, but don't ask me to name any because I don't remember them off the top of my head.
Robert Graves, his book's coming into public domain. Goodbye to all that. Now this one's interesting. This one caught my eye. E.B. White, who also wrote Charlotte's Web.
Oh, it's catching my eye right now.
Right? And James Thurber. Is sex necessary, or why you feel the way you do? I'm going to look this book up because I find it extremely interesting.
That it was 100 years ago.
Yes, but the interest is the fact that E.B. White was known for his children's books.
Yeah.
E.B. White writes Charlotte's Web?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I can check, but I'm looking at the notes. Yes.
We'll double check that one before the episode.
It's just like Cheech and Chong. Cheech Marin. They have all the Up in Smoke movies, and then Cheech did a lot of like children's stuff. I am so sorry for this.
Oh, yeah.
It's my nerve damage from the glass.
Yep. E.B. White, Charlotte's Web. I knew.
I love kids. Let's write a book about sex.
What?
I'm just saying, is that what he was thinking?
Wait, were you the early P. Diddy?
Yeah, E-Bitty.
I also found my old, Charlotte, Chocolate Factory.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I have those two next to each other. Anyways, all right, where were we? Sorry, I don't have my notes.
Rainer Maria Rilke. I can't read. I'll get my glasses on.
Rainer Maria Rilke.
Rilke. I don't know.
Rilke. Yes, Rilke. Letters to a Young Poet. The original German version before I'm not pronouncing it.
Briefe an einen jungen Dichter. I'll have to ask my brother who lives in Germany.
Okay, good, because I did not I know that would damage that tremendously and offend someone for sure. But again,
offend myself.
So these haven't been adapted to film. Although, man, I'm gonna hone in on this E.B. White one. This one keeps drawing me. I'm gonna go in and see what this one is. Let me have to take over. Walter Lippmann, Preface to Morals, Ellery Queen, Frederick Dene, and Manfred Lee. What?
Manfred.
The Roman Hat Mystery, adapted several times for film, notably in 1929 and more recent adaptations for TV. All right, so I did add some of the film and animation contributions that are coming into public domain just for the fun of it. Because
this is important. People need to know last year.
Although
there's different years too, right? Isn't the works the written word is 29, and isn't the animations or the music earlier, right? 25 or 24?
Listen, I don't remember. I remember one is 90 years and one is 50 years. And then some are 75. I don't remember exactly which ones fall which way and how that works because that's that one's different. But yes, essentially, this year marks a precedent that all works from the 90s are officially going to be in public domain. So if it was done in the 1920s, it officially comes into public domain based on Duke website.
Sorry, the student text already started. So click.
That's it. You're going to have to give a notification to your students that Thursday morning belongs to me. Okay?
Let me do the airplane mode thing. Does that block them? I got to remember. New Year's resolution, airplane mode. Do not disturb.
Right.
All right.
All right, so significant film entries, a dozen more Mickey Mouse animations, including Mickey's first talking appearance in The Carnival Kid.
Yeah, so if you're an animator and you want to use this, the only thing you have to do is you'd really have to research this because just like comics, every character has evolved.
Yes.
They've changed writing styles. They had a new artist, so you got
pin it.
Yeah,
we talked about that. Someone had made a shirt out of Mickey Mouse, but like reimagined it. The problem was the version they did something that wasn't in the public domain version of Mickey Mouse. They were using a one that didn't come for like a few more years. They had to like get rid of it because it's like, no, you added the red shorts and those don't come for a little bit. You're actually copyright infringement on that.
Yeah, I had I'm like really weary of this stuff. I knew a guy, I forget how he was making these. They were like little plastic buttons, but he put a bunch of stuff together and make like a Mickey Mouse or a SpongeBob SquarePants, and you could put them on your refrigerator or whatever. And he was selling them, and I'm like, dude, that is so illegal.
Mm-hmm.
What? Yeah, I'm like,
Listen,
whatever. Yeah, I mean, you could be selling them for $5.
Ohio State University, a lot of times when we were living in Ohio, people would make Ohio State University like, I remember one year specifically, someone made like a block O, a Christmas block, like it was a block O, and it was all lit up with Christmas lights and had all this stuff, so you could go hang it. And it was nice. It was like a nice size one, and they were selling it for like, I think $200 or something. And they posted it, and Ohio State University caught wind of it and sent them a message and said, "You can't do this, or you can pay us 10%.
Yeah.
Like you can do this, but you have to give us a portion of your profits."
And that was being nice.
Yeah.
You know, they're in Ashland, Kentucky, they put in this university restaurant for a while, and it was basically a ripoff of UK, University of Kentucky. But they knew they couldn't use like their font and everything, but they used their colors. They used a font that was close. And so they were dancing, and legally they could get by with it. I thought it was kind of shoddy of them to do that, but, you know, that way they didn't have to pay a licensing fee.
Yeah. Yeah, so careful. Make sure you're being legit. The
This
coconuts.
next one sounds familiar. I'm pretty sure I've
seen
this.
Coconuts.
Yes.
I mean, it's spelled weird. Is that coconuts? I'm assuming because it looks like coconuts.
Cocoa nuts.
Cocoa nuts. The Cocoa Nuts this is the first Marx Brothers feature film.
Yeah, and I'm sure I saw it because all that old stuff, Charlie Chaplin, you know, the Marx Brothers, Three Stooges, which were little rascals. I wonder when that's got to be. No, I guess that was a little later.
Yeah,
I'll say it's coming up.
That should be like what 40s, 30s. I mean, I'm not skipping down. I was just looking down. They got the Broadway Melody, which was a winner of an Academy Award for Best Picture. That one's coming available. The Hollywood Review, 1929, directed by Charles Reisner, featuring the song "Singin' in the Rain."
Wow.
So that's coming into public domain. The Skeleton Dance, directed by Walt Disney and animated by Works. This is silly.
I remember this.
Yeah, this is their first silly symphony short from Disney.
I wonder how the company Disney feels about that they legally have no control. It's their intellectual property, but now it's in public domain and people can do what they want with it.
Yeah, I know that Disney is one of those ones that has found a loophole in public domain to be able to somehow umbrella certain things, but not everything that's coming out. I don't know the semantics of it, but I know there is something that they do in their new logo stuff and certain ways that they create things that makes it kind of umbrella certain things. But I don't know.
I have no problem with that because I understand why they do this, and I love the aspect of being a legacy, like an author. This author has died, his grandchildren have died. Unless there is a company involved or like a relative and they had somehow kept this in, then in that situation, I'm like, yeah, leave it alone. This belongs to that family or that company.
Yeah, but Disney did the same thing. People don't realize that all of these Disney princesses are not Disney original. Disney, in a sense, did the same exact thing. They took the Brothers Grimm, and they took a lot of these other different authors and kind of spun them into their Disney fairies and princesses and all these different tales. A lot of these aren't even their own works. In a sense, I don't feel bad if someone takes something of Disney's and...
Well, I'm talking about a pure, true artist. So I didn't know that about Disney, but, you know, because we could be like, well, you know, this year, finally, Elvis Presley songs are coming up, and, you know, it's another 50 years from now or whatever. And people be like, well, he stole. And I mean, it's legit, you know, he stole his style, and there's a lot of other songwriters that he stole from African Americans. So I loved Elvis, but you've seen a lot of that, you know, so I hate that part of it. But if you're true, and I wrote Raise Your Voice, and I wish I could pass it on to my children, my grandchildren, their grandchildren. But, you know, if I die and it kind of fizzles out, and 100 years from now, somebody's like, oh, you know, there was this book way back when, and it's up for public domain. Maybe I should push that again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This next one is Hitchcock's first sound film.
That's why I did that.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's my ADHD kicking in. Hey, I only said that once. I've been trying to be good. I've calmed down.
Listen, people are going to think I'm trying to control you, and that's not what I'm doing.
No. Help me. No.
What did I tell you about it?
Blackmail. Another directed by Alfred Hitchcock.
Yes, this like I said, sound film.
Wow. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, we tend to forget sometimes a lot of stuff didn't have sound when it first came out.
Yeah, and I don't know. I didn't kick in my head.
Imagine some of these movies that are in public domain.
And they do voiceovers.
Sound, and now they can do voices with it. Yes. Boom.
That would be so cool.
Mind blown. All right. Hallelujah, directed by King Vidor. This film is from a major studio with a all African American cast. The Wild Party. Wow, that's surprising that something back then was called The Wild Party. That sounds something like...
it really wasn't that wild.
Something that, you'd see certain characters in. Directed by Dorothy Arzner. Was this a female director? Interesting. Clara Bow's
that is very interesting.
Yeah, Clara Bow's first talkie. Welcome Danger. Directed by Clyde Bruckman and Malcolm St. Clair. This is the first sound comedy starring Harold Lloyd. Yes.
On with the show. This was directed by Alan Crosland. And it's kind of a funny way he spells his name. But that's the first all color feature-length film.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that because when you just said, hey, they could add voiceovers to those old ones, I'm like, man, they could colorize these films. They could do so much with it.
Mm-hmm.
With the show, I feel like I've seen that.
Yes, this is the one you just. Oh yeah.
Yep. And then Pandora's Box. I'm not even going to try to pronounce Die Buch der Pandora, directed by G.W. Pabst.
Well, that's the German. Yeah. Snowboat or Showboat. I don't know what Snowboat. I'll shorten me age.
That's where the party's at. That's the wild party, that's Snowboat.
Showboat, yeah, directed by Harry Pollard. An adaptation of the novel and musical. So let's see. Okay, so that's interesting. So they made a film that was an adaptation to the original novel, and so the film itself is now in public domain. So you can take that film and reimagine it.
That is cool.
Yeah, Spite Marriage, directed by Edward. What? Directed by
Edward. A couple of friends have probably been in a Spite Marriage, but go ahead.
Directed by Edward Sedgwick and Buster Keaton. Keaton's final.
Buster Keaton.
Final silent feature.
Yeah, loved him too. He was funny.
Say It With Songs, directed by Lloyd Bacon. Follow up to Jazz Singer and the Singing Fool.
The ironic thing about this movie is it was a silent film.
Yeah.
Now I'm messing with you.
I was like, yeah, wait, what?
Sing It With Songs.
Okay.
A lot of those old
Say It With Songs. Say It With Songs.
Close enough. I think of Buster Keaton and all those old slapstick comedians, and they'd have music in the background, but, it was basically silent, no talking, but they had to keep the action rolling. They were like they are the OG stuntmen. Some of the crazy stuff they did, like falling off a car or jumping over a car, going down a ladder, it breaks all the way down. It was always slapstick comedy. All right, and that leads us to Dynamite.
Sorry. I got a text message.
Okay, you do that. So I will say this was directed by Cecil B. DeMille. Cecil B. DeMille. I know that name. But I don't remember this movie. This was his first sound film.
Okay.
And then we got Gold Diggers of Broadway, directed by Roy Del Ruth.
These names are crazy.
I know. Could you imagine that? Man, the new, what's out at the cinema this week? Gold Diggers of Broadway.
You sang that song Gold Diggers? Was that...
Oh, yeah, nothing but a gold digger. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
This is iconic comic characters like Popeye and Tintin will also become part of...
This was a separate note.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Gold Diggers of Broadway was directed by Roy D. Ruth, and then I put a little sub thing there, and that totally threw you off because iconic...
Yeah, because I thought Popeye was calling olive oil a gold digger? What the... No.
No, that was just a side note that characters like Popeye and Tintin
Hey,
will also become a part of the public domain.
I will say before we started this podcast, we were discussing because I'm like, man, if you have all those notes, my brain is fried. This is so good today. Everything's on point. But you can
And then
see
that
I'm
one
still like a
line.
child. And you should have put Jamie. This is it. If you would have had it gold, yellow, and underlined, I'd be like, I got it. Not a problem. Is that tiny little circle? I was like, oh, it's just an extension of those gold diggers.
Yeah, well, and the way I did it, it kind of followed everything else, and it was just like a
If you
little tab.
Popeye. Don't talk about olive oil like that. All right. Musical works.
I thought it'd be cool to put some music work in here
Oh,
because
yeah, for
about
sure.
songwriters and stuff. We want to make sure that we understand what music is coming into public domain.
Before you start reading this list, here's what I don't know if this opens up a can of worms or not because we're dealing with AI with music anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But what I could see somebody doing is like taking Singing in the Rain and having the same flow, the same music, maybe the same key, and they don't have, it's not called Singing in the Rain, don't have any lyrics. They're using that skeleton to write a new song. I could see somebody blowing up a song like that, like, wow, that sounds like Singing in the Rain or Ain't Misbehaving. Oh, you're going to get sued. Nope, that's in public domain, so I just reimagined that song with my own lyrics.
Mm-hmm. And when you could probably ask AI, can you reimagine the lyrics of Singing in the Rain? Yeah. Another one, Ain't Misbehaving. This one is from the musical Hot Chocolates. An American in Paris. This is a George Gershwin song.
I don't remember that, but I remember the movie American Werewolf in Paris and An American Werewolf in London.
Yes.
But, okay, I'm going off the squirrel. All right.
Bolero. These are just songs that are coming in.
Bolero.
What did I do to be so black and blue?
You know what? I seen that. I thought it was like Soj. I'm like, what? I can't read without my little glasses.
Yeah.
This
go ahead.
Andy Paul Rosoff, music by Thomas W. Fatswaller and Harry Brooks, and it's a song about racial injustice from the musical Hot
It's
Chocolates.
also in Hot Chocolates. Yep, it's also in Hot Chocolates. Tiptoe Through the Tulips. Okay, so this wasn't originally done by Tiny Tim then?
No, and that threw me because that's just what came in my mind.
Yeah, so Alfred Dubin and the music by Joseph Burke. Sorry, Tiny Tim, he did it best. Especially when you watch Insidious. Did you ever watch? And the little boy, the record? Yes. Okay. Happy Days Are Here Again. This is music by Jack Yellen, music by Milton Anger. And this is the theme song for Franklin D. Roosevelt's 1932 presidential campaign. Happy Days Are Here Again.
What is this thing called? Love by Cole Porter from Porter's musical Wake Up and Dream. Yeah, I mean, with music, it's a little different. Of course, you pay the artist and you can reimagine a song or you can cover a song or whatever. So, like I said, the benefit I see here is you could put out a new version and now you can claim it as your own. You don't have to pay royalties to anybody, I'm assuming. I'd have to look in that deeper to see what contracts, record companies own, who's putting this out, but I'm sure it's that way. Or we could reimagine the lyrics.
I think if it's officially in public domain, though, I think it's free game.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that's one of those things, and that's why I went to Duke University, because I felt like whenever I researched public domain before, Duke University had the most in-depth reading material for me to kind of get a better grasp of it, even though I'm still not, 100% sure of everything. It gives you a really good understanding of what you can and can't do. Am I Blue? Lyrics by Grant Clark, music by Harry Asks.
I'm pretty red. All right. Yeah. Old man jokes. Shut up, Jamie. You Weren't Meant for Me.
Oh, gosh.
By Arthur Freed. Music by Nacio Herb Brown.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. If it's a name, his name's Herbert. But if it's
I know.
something in your garden, it's an herb. Why do we take the H off? If it's in the garden, we lose the sound of the H. But if it's in his name is no longer herb, it's herb.
Yeah, see, now you're making me... Somebody was saying the other day, why do we walk on the driveway and drive on the walk? I don't remember. They had something stupid. And I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, you make sense. I'll remember it in the next podcast.
We drive on the driveway and we walk on the walkway.
Yeah, but it was something like that.
I was like, you're not supposed to drive on the sidewalk.
Yeah, but it was something like, you can't drive on the sidewalk or side on the driveway. I can't remember. It's not coming to me. And I'll catch up in 1 or 2, 3 podcasts, and I'll blurt it out of nowhere.
I said something.
Yeah. Remember, I'll blue like, what are you talking about?
Yes.
like 14 weeks ago. That's how my brain works, though.
Honey, lyrics by Seymour Simmons and Haven Gillespie and Richard A. Whiting.
Waiting
Honey.
for a train. I
Waiting
know I've
for a
heard
train.
this. Lyrics and music by Jimmy Rogers. Oh, yeah. Jimmy Rogers is old yodeler. So he had a lot of really cool songs.
Yeah. These are some of the public domains. I think there was something I looked up. Let me see here real quickly. Some of the books. Yes. All right. So I know we went through some of the books that are coming into public domain. And I looked this up this morning before we go into our New Year's resolutions that we have put forth together. The Sound and Fury, it was not an immediate bestseller, but since then has been recognized as a classic and influential work in American literature. And then because I was interested in the, is sex necessary or why do we feel the way we do? This book was well received and sold well, though it may not be considered a bestseller today. So I'm interested to check this one out.
So he may be given bad information.
Well,
it
and
was
I'm
back in
just,
that time. You're not
yeah,
spanking your wife enough.
heavens.
She's not in the kitchen. Could be some stupid stuff like that.
Okay, that kind of spanking. Got it.
Because I seen it was just the other day. I seen from an old film, and
Yeah.
like, bend over my knee, young lady. It was like his
Is that
wife.
John Wayne?
Maybe it was. It's like,
John
Daddy,
Wayne does
like
that
a
in,
spanker.
like.
Sometimes you got to do that to your wife.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a John Wayne movie where he literally spanks his wife.
Yeah.
And I cannot remember which one it is. But either way.
Oh, Johnny.
Let's see here. So that Olivia, no, I did it too. Oliver LaFrange, The Laughing Boy, a Navajo love story. This novel actually won a Pulitzer Prize in 1930, indicating its significance. It obviously was an impact of literature back then. Let's see here. And I was looking at some of the successful things of some of these books. Like some of them, like, again, may not have considered bestsellers, but they were well-received type of writings. Where's that one? The Agatha Christie one. We know that many of Agatha Christie's works were bestsellers, but this novel was not quite so popular. That Seven Dials Mysteries.
Yeah, I don't remember that one.
That wasn't popular upon release. I thought I'd just throw that in there. A few of the ones, like How Well It Did. And we know that The Maltese Falcon, that was a big one. Because it became not only a bestseller in literature, but also in film. All right. Now, for the part that you must dread. Do you remember any of your resolutions from last year?
Well, that's what I'm doing again. Do you mean one in specifically?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do. I'm going to start writing Age of the Sigil.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually keeping it this year now that we have pseudo write. It's so much easier. In my defense, I don't have any defense. I read all three of the previous books. I made notes. But now that because we just talked, we had her on the podcast and talked about that, and I was complaining a while back, they have a novel import, and I said I got a series because they'd only do up to like 120,000 words. I'm like, that ain't gonna work for me. Now they fix it. You can import your whole novels. So I got 3, which isn't a lot, like 200,000 words or so for all 3, 6, 12, 8, yeah. But now it'll help me as I start writing the new one. So yes, I am prepping for it. It is, January 1st. Literally, we get up at like 4 a.m. now, 4 to 4:30. So like I get up, I hit the vibration plate, I work out, I do some whatever I got to do. Yeah, I'm losing weight. I'm not going to use that as a thing for this year, but I struggled for a while. I was up and down in 190s, 180s. I'm down in the 170s. So I'm not going to claim that as a resolution. I don't really care about resolutions because I make them as I go. And see what happened with me. I did the Age of the Sigil one, and I never kept it. But that's why I brought these glasses on. I told you, I want to quit thinking about a resolution, everything that's out here around me, and focus just right here to get
Yes, you know how I feel you can accomplish that?
Go ahead before I say, do what?
Say no to people.
I'm starting to. I've cut back on teaching and all that. But some of my students, I love all of my students. So some of them are cool. Like, I just worked with James Payton, who was in Harry Potter. I forget which movie, Order of the Phoenix, I believe. He was Neville Longbottom's dad, and he plays in this magical music of Harry Potter, this play. He's been doing it for several years. and we just worked together. And he just texted me, a couple weeks ago and said, Jaime, first gig back. Wow. And they haven't tagged me on Instagram. One of his partners
Nice.
like, well, James Payton loves how his voice is feeling like.
Good.
So yeah, I'm saying no more often. I've had people come to me with side projects. I'm like, nope, don't have time for it.
Good. Yes, because we're going to get this Age of the Sigil done.
Yes.
Because
that's the hard one. I get it done. Everything else is easy.
Last book. It's the last book. You got to get it done so we can work on other things, other projects. We've got to we got to work on finishing Anne McGee's stuff.
Yeah.
And that is something we both are going to put together in our resolution.
Yeah, and for those of you, and we'll do a podcast about it, passed away.
Yes.
And that one was rough for me. So we published Elizabeth Sabine's book, Strengthen Your Singing Voice, and we published Anne's fiction novels. Now, Anne actually worked for Liz for years. She was her secretary, and she kept track of all her students. Elizabeth is an amazing vocal coach. Mm-hmm. Without her, I would not have Shattered Glass. It was Jim Gillette, too. But Anne and I wrote the 4 Sing Out Loud kids books together. Mm-hmm. And I had she never told me she was feeling bad, which we'll get into in another podcast. But she had a full novel on she was wanting to release with us. She was doing some short stories. We inspired her to put them out on Kindle. We didn't care. So she had a few, and then she was reeling them in so we could make one book. So we're working with her sons to make this happen, to let her legacy live on.
Yeah, so that's a goal that we both are going to share for 2025 to make that a nice legacy for Anne. Any other things you want to add that you want to?
I think I need to focus on Age of the Sigil. If I
That's
add anything else,
yes,
I'm not going to get it done.
Okay, we'll keep that one on you for this year, even though it's kind of like a renewing of last year's.
Oh, I got one more.
What?
I need to get my butt back in gear to make the video. I haven't made videos for us for probably almost 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
And everything hit me, but there's no excuse for that.
Which also reminds me that you said you're going to read the notes a little bit more.
Yeah, that is. So I do have 3. My goal is to read through them, because I know one of yours is to deal with me. You're like, okay, I'm going to make these a little tighter because I know how, or you're just going to bullet point them. Or if you don't have time for that, I'm going to bullet point them. Somehow there's going to end up bullet points that keeps me on point.
Listen, so here's what I do. Thank you for AI in this part, because I take my notes, I write them out, and then I copy them and I paste them in my AI, the Google AI one. And I'm like, make these talking points, shorten this into talking points. So I take everything I've done and they're talking points now. So then I import those so you can read those.
Yep. Well, I use chat. Well, I did an episode not too long ago, but I just hey, chat. Here's what I want to do an episode on. I need to research this, but it was on the paper. Yeah, so I wasn't really cheating. It was writing for me. I wanted the history of it, and so we could kind of timeline it. But I'll write articles for my school or whatever, and then I'll throw them through ChatGPT. I'm like, hey, just make sure I'm not making any errors. Make sure it tightens it up, which I could probably start doing at Pseudo right now, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know if Pseudo has. Well, I mean, they probably do, but there's just mostly fiction. They have there's just not really geared towards nonfiction per se. There's just more on the creative side.
I love it. I have a friend of mine, John Henney. I love this guy. He's a fellow vocal coach, and where he's like, how's business and da-da-da-da-da. And he's like, man, you need to hop on ChatGPT. I'm telling you, it's your friend. I said, dude, I've already been on it. So we discussed it over a year ago. And we both kind of embraced it and kept playing with it. And hey, it's just a workflow. You're getting the same thing out you're going to do anyway. It just speeds up your workflow, though.
Yeah. Okay, I guess.
One more. I want to try not to dye my beard as much, but I hate going white. So, all right, that's it.
You sure?
I'm positive.
Okay.
Oh wait, no, I'm teasing. It's your turn.
As far as writing goes, for my New Year's resolution, because I actually switched gears with Canvas and I've been way more focused on it, is definitely to get that finished. And then I'm only a few hours away from graduating from Arizona State University, and I have that as kind of wanting to finish that. My twins will be graduating in next year in 2026. I would like to graduate from college before they get to their senior year, so I'm not taking away from that's their year. 2025, 2026, that's their year. I don't want to impose on that. So I'm going to try and like buckle down, get all my classes in.
Well, you're close though, right?
I'm very close. I need like, gosh, I think technically I need 21 hours, but like I need 15 that weren't already on point schedule wise.
Mm-hmm.
But so in total, I think that was 21 hours. So I'm trying to do that without overwhelming myself at the same time. But it's a little daunting. And then at the same time, I want to finish Canvas because it's so right here that I want to get it out. Like I'm constantly thinking about these characters. I'm constantly thinking about these scenes, which when we get done filming, I want to have you stay on for a second to specifically discuss something that's pretty dark that I want to add and get your feels for it. But
does that have anything to do with does sex matter and why do we feel the way we do?
Yeah, actually.
I was just making a joke because you mentioned that book so many times, but
no, I think I'm going to read that and just throw it in there.
Yeah, because I know about the book, so yeah, that works.
Maybe. All right. Okay, so I think that's my main things is to and be a little bit more diligent about pushing the podcast out for people. I put it out on Facebook, and I need to be better about putting it out on Instagram. I've just been so overwhelmed.
That's why I'm saying, me not hitting the videos, and I done discussed this with you too. We will see what happens with TikTok here in 19 days, but if not, it'll be some other platform. But the lives, because I've been doing the lives for Dr. Vox, and it's pretty well received. Walking singers through warm-ups, I'm like, we could do one. It's not like this podcast, but like talking about, how to rewrite a scene or, how to check your grammar, tips.
Well, when this episode's out, hopefully you and I will have seen each other somehow.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, because I keep pretending it's the first, but I'm going to be true. It's not. We're
recording this beforehand, truth be told.
I'm keeping up the lie, so.
Keeping up the lie. Yeah, so hopefully that week that this comes out, I will be in Ohio, and we'll be able to maybe connect. So we can figure out a live that we want to do for that one.
Yes, I really want to do that.
Yeah, so, okay. Well, this has been a good New Year's episode, and we're so thankful we made it through 2024 and now on to 2025. If you'd like to follow us or find any more information about us, you can go to www.alwaysrightpodcast.com. And you can click those little icons. You can follow us on those social media platforms, and you can go to YouTube and definitely subscribe to us. Also, if you have an idea for a show, or you have an author friend, or you're an author and you want to come on, feel free to email us at alwaysrightpodcast@gmail.com, and we'll get back to you as long as Jamie doesn't open the email.
I might have opened one. I'll tell you in a minute.
Again?
Yes.
If I don't return your message in a timely fashion, please email me back. Anyways, this has been a good episode, and until next time, thank you for listening. I'm author Karisa DeLay.
And I'm author Jaime Vendera, and we'll see you in the second podcast of 2025.
Yes.
Next week.
Yes. Until then, always right.